My name is Carol T. Bailey, and I am 32 years old. You never realize you are just a placeholder until the person you are holding the spot for decides to show up. For 2 years, I thought I was the heroine of Stephen's story. I thought I was the woman who came in after the storm, rebuilt the house, fixed the foundation, and made it safe to live in again. But looking back, I was not the heroine. I was the contractor. And once the renovations were done, he did not need the woman with the tool belt anymore. He wanted the woman who threw the parties. I met Stephen at a low point in his life. He was 26, drowning in credit card debt, and emotionally wrecked from a 3-year on-and-off relationship with a woman named Tara. Tara was magnetic. That was what he called her. In reality, Tara was a 30-year-old aspiring club promoter who borrowed money she never paid back, cheated constantly, and made Stephen feel like he was lucky just to be in her orbit. When she finally dumped him for a 22-year-old fitness influencer with a rented sports car, Stephen collapsed. Enter me, Carol, the systems analyst. I was everything Tara was not. Stable, consistent, bills on auto draft, no disappearing for 3 days on a networking trip to Miami, no screaming matches in parking lots, no mysterious Venmo requests at 2 in the morning. When Stephen and I started dating, he told me I was a breath of fresh air. He told me he was done with drama, done with toxicity, done with the emotional roller coaster. He wanted peace, and I gave him peace. I helped him organize his finances. I co-signed on his car refinance to get his interest rate down from a predatory 18% to something manageable. When he wanted to go back to school to finish his marketing degree, I covered the rent entirely so he could focus on classes. I was not just his girlfriend. I was the infrastructure of his life. But there is a funny thing about peace. If you are addicted to chaos, peace eventually starts to feel like boredom. The shift happened about 6 months ago. Stephen finished his degree and landed a decent job at a PR firm. He started going to the gym more, dressing sharper, posting office selfies with captions about new chapters. He looked better than ever, and I was proud of him. I thought we were winning. Then came the comments. We would watch a movie and he would sigh. I wish we did things like that, spontaneous things. We went to Cabo last month, I reminded him. Yeah, but you planned it, Carol. It was on a spreadsheet. That's not the same as just going. Then it got personal. You stare at screens all day, he said one night. Don't you ever want to build something? Create something? I build networks that keep hospitals running, Stephen, I said, trying to keep it light. He rolled his eyes. You know what I mean. It's just so sterile. I should have heard the warning in that word. Sterile. Safe. Boring. The language had changed before the behavior did. It all came to a head the week of his brother Elliot's wedding. The wedding was the event of the year for Stephen's family. Elliot was marrying into a wealthy family, old money, country club types, people who said, "Summer in Maine," like it was a moral achievement. Stephen was a groomsman, and he was terrified of anything going wrong. He wanted to prove to his extended family that he was not the messy son anymore. He had the degree, the job, the stability. I assumed I was part of that stability. I wanted to look the part. So I spent $600 on a tailored charcoal pantsuit, elegant but not flashy. I got my hair done. I had my car detailed, so we would pull up looking sharp. I was ready to be the woman on his arm, proof that he had graduated from women like Tara, who wore sequins to brunch and chaos like perfume. 2 nights before the wedding, I walked into the living room wearing the outfit. I just picked it up from the tailor, I said, adjusting the cuffs. What do you think? Does the blouse work? Stephen was sitting on the couch, phone in hand. His thumb froze when he saw me. He did not smile. He did not say, "You look beautiful." He looked pained. "It's fine," he said, voice tight. Fine? He looked back down at his phone. It's very you. What does that mean? I don't know, Carol. Safe. Gray, practical. It's what an accountant wears. I'm an analyst, but okay. I felt the sting, but I pushed it down. Wedding stress, family pressure. I let it slide. So what's the plan for Saturday? I asked. Ceremony starts at 4, so I figured we leave by 2. He did not answer right away. He locked his phone and placed it face down on the coffee table. A heavy silence filled the room, the kind that sucks air from your lungs before the words even arrive. Carol, he started, picking at a loose thread on the throw pillow. About the wedding, I sat slowly in the armchair across from him. I've been talking to my mom. Okay. Is everything all right with Elliot? Elliot is fine, he said quickly. It's the guest list. It's tight. And honestly, my parents have been making some comments lately. I frowned. I liked his parents. His father, Robert, and I got along well. We watched football together. I helped him set up his home Wi-Fi mesh system. I had never felt hostility from them. Comments about what? Stephen finally looked at me. His eyes held a strange mix of pity and annoyance. About you and Tara. My stomach dropped. Tara? Why are they talking about Tara? Because Tara was memorable, Carol, he said, tone sharpening. She had charisma. She lit up a room. My parents, especially my mom, they miss that energy. They think you're a great woman, really, but they think you're a bit of a safe choice. A rebound? That's how they see it. We've been living together for 2 years. I am not a rebound. He threw up his hands. I'm just telling you what they said. They think coming from Tara to you is a shift, a downgrade in personality. They think you're boring, Carol, okay? I said it. Downgrade. The word hung between us like smoke. So, he continued, lowering his voice, I don't want to put you in a position where you're uncomfortable. I don't want you sitting there all night, knowing they're comparing you to her. It's going to be awkward. For my sake and yours, I think it's better if I go alone. I sat frozen. The logic was absurd. If his parents thought I was boring, the solution was not to hide me. It was to bring me and let me be a normal, respectful partner. But the way Stephen looked at me, like I was a stain on the picture he wanted to present, told me everything. You're uninviting me, I said flatly, from your brother's wedding. I'm protecting you, he insisted. Why do you have to make everything difficult? I can't manage your insecurity on top of my groomsman duties. My insecurity. I see, I said. And I did. I did not see a boyfriend protecting me from judgment. I saw a man ashamed of me. A man who had rewritten history until his toxic ex became a charismatic legend, and the woman who rebuilt his life became a boring downgrade. Fine, I said calmly. If your parents think I'm a downgrade, I shouldn't be there. Go have fun. Do your duty. His relief was immediate. He kissed my cheek. Thank you for understanding, Carol. This is why we work. You're so logical. Yeah, I said, looking at the charcoal outfit draped over the chair. Logical. Stephen spent the rest of the night frantic, packing and repacking his overnight bag like the wedding was a military deployment. He texted constantly, phone tilted slightly away from me, thumbs moving fast, face glowing with a kind of nervous excitement I had not seen from him in months. Every few minutes he would glance up and say something practical. Elliot needs me there early. My mom is already losing it. The hotel check-in might be a nightmare. All reasonable things, all little bricks in the wall he was building between the truth and me. I sat on the couch, the charcoal pantsuit folded across my lap. $600 of fabric and foolish optimism. He did not look at it again. The next afternoon, he dragged his suitcase to the door. He was wearing fitted black jeans, a crisp white shirt, and the cologne Terry used to buy him, the one he claimed he had stopped wearing because it reminded him of chaos. I noticed it immediately. I said nothing. I'll see you Sunday morning, he said. Love you. Bye, Stephen, I replied. The door clicked shut. I listened to his footsteps fade down the hallway. I waited for the elevator ding. Then I walked to the window. Not because I suspected anything exactly, but because some quiet part of me already knew the story had not finished telling on itself. His Uber was waiting below. Stephen stood by the trunk while the driver loaded his suitcase. Then the back door opened, and a woman leaned out, laughing as she helped move a garment bag aside. Even from 3 stories up, I recognized the glossy black hair, the gold hoops, the theatrical way she moved like every sidewalk was a stage. Tara. She was wearing a bright red dress under a cropped leather jacket. She touched Stephen's arm as he climbed in. He smiled, not the tired, careful smile he gave me lately, but the old, hungry one I had seen in photos from before us. I stood there for a long time with my hand against the cold glass. He had not uninvited me to protect me from his parents. He had uninvited me because he was bringing her. The rage did not come like an explosion. It came like a cold front. It froze everything first. My hands, my face, the air in my lungs. Then it sharpened. "Downgrade," I whispered to the empty apartment. I turned away from the window and looked around. My apartment. The TV I bought. The console I paid for. The couch I chose. The router, the speakers, the streaming accounts, the rent, the car payment safety net. The quiet systems I had built so Stephen could stand taller and pretend he had done it alone. I was not going to be there when he came back, and neither was the Wi-Fi password. I did not destroy the apartment. I did not slash tires. I did not cut up his clothes or throw his things into the hallway. That was Tara behavior. That was chaos. I am an analyst. I do not create chaos. I simply remove the support structures that allow the system to function. I gave myself 2 hours. First, the essentials: clothes, toiletries, documents, passport, birth certificate, emergency cash from the safe, 90% of which I had contributed. Then the tech. I unplugged the 65-inch OLED TV I bought for our anniversary. I boxed up my PlayStation. I removed the Sonos speakers from the living room, bedroom, and kitchen. Each cord was wrapped neatly, each box labeled, "Calm hands, cold heart." But the real kill switch was the connectivity. I walked to the corner of the living room where the fiber modem and high-end mesh router sat blinking like tiny, obedient stars. The bill was in my name. The account was mine. I unplugged the router, wrapped the cord around it, and slid it into my backpack. In seconds, the apartment went from smart home to dumb box. The smart lights died. The thermostat went offline. Alexa went silent. The streaming services logged out. The doorbell camera disconnected. Every little convenience Stephen had called ours revealed itself as mine. I stood in the center of the living room. It was not empty. His furniture, his decorations, his clutter were still there. But it felt hollow. A space he could not afford, filled with things he had not earned. I placed my key on the kitchen counter. No note, no explanation. A note implies there is still a conversation to be had. A key on the counter means the conversation is over. I loaded my car and drove to a Marriott downtown. At 4:30 p.m., I checked into a room on the 12th floor, sat on the bed, and imagined Stephen walking into the wedding as a groomsman, smiling that practiced smile. Tara sitting where I was supposed to sit, probably already laughing too loudly and charming the wrong people, his parents looking confused, wondering where I was. I ordered a whiskey from room service and waited. The silence in the hotel room was heavy, but not lonely. It was the silence of a bomb technician who had finally cut the right wire. At 7:15 p.m., my phone buzzed. Robert, Stephen's father. I let it ring 3 times so my voice would sound untouched by any of this. "Hello?" "Carol, thank God." Robert sounded breathless. "Are you okay? Are you at the hospital?" I sat up straighter. "The hospital? Stephen told us you collapsed. Some kind of seizure or heart thing before you were supposed to leave. He said you made him come because you did not want to ruin Elliot's day. The audacity actually stole my breath. He had not only lied to bring Tara, he had turned me into a noble medical emergency so he could look like a brave son soldiering on through worry. Robert, I said slowly, I did not have a seizure. I am perfectly healthy. A thick silence followed. Then why are you not here? He asked. And why is Tara sitting in your seat eating your steak? I took a sip of whiskey. It burned, grounding me. Stephen uninvited me yesterday, I said. He told me you and your wife thought I was a downgrade from Tara, that I was boring, that my presence would make everyone uncomfortable. What? Robert roared. A downgrade? Carol, I cannot stand that woman. She borrowed $500 from me 3 years ago and never paid it back. I tried to get security to remove her, but Stephen started crying about needing emotional support. Well, I said, he has her now. He does not have me anymore. What do you mean? I moved out while he was at the ceremony. I am done. The wedding noise hummed behind him. Music, laughter, clinking glasses, a different world collapsing in real time. Carol, please, Robert said, softer now. He is an idiot. I will drag him outside right now. We can fix this. There is nothing to fix, I said. He looked me in the eye and told me I was not good enough for your family, so he could sneak his ex-girlfriend into a wedding. That is not stress. That is character. Robert was breathing hard. What should I tell him? Tell Stephen that since I am such a downgrade, I removed myself from the equation. He can upgrade to Tara full-time now. Then I hung up. I powered off my phone completely and looked out at the city lights. I did not know exactly what was happening at that reception hall 10 miles away, but I knew systems. I had just removed the load-bearing wall. Gravity would handle the rest. I kept my phone off for 24 hours. Sunday was peaceful in a way that felt almost illegal. I slept in without Stephen's alarm blaring 3 times before he finally rolled over. I went for a long run along the river. I ate a steak dinner alone at the hotel bar, ordered exactly what I wanted, and read a book whether anyone else was bored. For the first time in 2 years, I was not managing Stephen's anxiety, Stephen's schedule, Stephen's validation, or Stephen's fear of being ordinary. I was just Carol, and Carol was doing just fine. When I finally turned my phone back on Monday morning before work, it nearly vibrated off the desk. 47 missed calls, 82 text messages, 12 voicemails, most from Stephen, a few from Elliot, the groom, 2 from Stephen's mother, 1 more from Robert. I did not listen to the voicemails. I scrolled through the previews instead. Stephen, Sunday, 1 a.m. Where are you? Stephen, Sunday, 1:15 a.m. This isn't funny. Carol, where's the TV? Stephen, Sunday, 2:30 a.m. Pick up the phone. My dad is screaming at me because of what you told him. Stephen, Sunday, 9 a.m. You embarrassed me on the biggest night of my brother's life. You were so selfish. Stephen, Sunday, 4 p.m. Baby, please. I can explain. Tara just showed up. I didn't invite her. Dad lied. Stephen, Sunday, 8 p.m. The Wi-Fi is gone. Seriously? You took the router? That's so petty. Stephen, Monday, 6 a.m. Can we just talk, please? I messed up. I need you. The progression from anger to gaslighting to desperation was textbook. Almost boring. I archived the thread without replying and went to work. He showed up at 5:30 p.m. I was walking to my car in the parking garage when I saw him leaning against my driver's side door, arms crossed, wearing oversized sunglasses, even though the garage was dim. He looked smaller than usual, defeated. But when he saw me, he straightened and that familiar defensive spark returned to his posture. You blocked me, he said. No hello, no apology, just an accusation. I did, I said, stopping 10 feet away. I did not unlock the car. What do you want, Stephen? I want you to come home. His voice cracked. This is insane, Carol. You don't just move out. You don't just ghost someone you lived with for 2 years because of a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding, I repeated. Is that what we are calling it? He swallowed. You told me your parents thought I was a downgrade so you could bring your ex-girlfriend to a family wedding. Then you told your father I was in the hospital having a seizure to explain why I was not there. Which part did I misunderstand? The seizure lie was the smoking gun, and he knew it. He looked down at the concrete. I panicked, he whispered. Tara texted me Friday night, he continued, words spilling faster now. She said she was going to be in town. She said she wanted to see me, to see if there was still a spark. I just wanted closure, Carol. I wanted to prove to myself that I was over her. So you brought her as your date to prove you were over her. It was a mistake. That is interesting logic. He took off the sunglasses. His eyes were red-rimmed. She was a disaster. She got drunk. She hit on Elliot's new brother-in-law. She tried to get my dad to invest in some crypto scam during the toast. My dad almost threw her out himself. Karma usually is humiliating, I said. And then she left, he said, tears spilling over. She left with one of the bridesmaids' cousins. She didn't even say goodbye. She just used me to get into the open bar. He looked at me then, waiting. I knew that look. He was waiting for me to step in, soften, fix it. Tell him it was not his fault. Offer dinner. Become infrastructure again. I'm sorry that happened to you, I said. But I'm not surprised. I know, Hu sobbed, reaching for my hand. I know you were right. I missed you. I missed how steady you are. I missed how you make me feel safe. Please just come home. The apartment is so quiet without you. I took the TV, I reminded him. We can buy a new TV. I don't care about the stuff. I care about us. I looked at him, really looked. I saw fear, but not the fear of losing me, the woman who loved him. It was fear of losing the rent coverage, the utilities, the car stability, the parents' approval, the life that worked because I kept it working. Stephen, I said, remember what you told me Friday night? You said I was a downgrade. You said I was boring. I didn't mean it. Yes, I said. You did. And you were right. He blinked. What? I am boring compared to Tara. I pay bills. I show up on time. I don't cheat. I don't cause scenes at weddings. That is boring to people like you. You crave highs and lows. You need chaos to feel alive. And I am done being the safety net you land on when chaos drops you. I don't want chaos, he yelled, losing composure. I want you. No, I said, finally unlocking my car. The beep echoed through the garage. You want the rent paid. You want the car fixed. You want your parents off your back. You want the upgrade lifestyle without the upgrade character. I opened the door and tossed my bag onto the passenger seat. Carol, please, he whimpered, grabbing the door handle. My dad is furious. He said he won't speak to me until I fix this. Your dad is a good man, I said. He deserves a better daughter-in-law than Tara. And right now, frankly, he deserves a better son than you. He recoiled as if I had slapped him. I am sending movers for the rest of my furniture on Saturday, I said. I have already transferred the utilities out of my name. They shut off in 48 hours unless you call them. You can't leave me, he shrieked as I got into the driver's seat. I can't afford that place alone. You promised you would take care of me. I rolled down the window just an inch. I did take care of you, I said. I got you debt-free. I helped you finish school. I left you in a better place than when I found you. I put the car in reverse. Consider it a severance package. Then I rolled the window up. He was still yelling when I drove away, but the soundproofing in my car was excellent. The following Saturday, the movers came for the rest of my furniture. I did not go with them because there was nothing left inside that apartment I needed to see with my own eyes. I gave them a list, photos, proof of ownership, and instructions to remove only what was mine. The couch, the bed frame, the small dining table, The bookshelf Stephen used to call too practical, but somehow always filled with his clutter. They sent me a confirmation photo when they were done. The apartment looked emptier than I expected. Not because I had taken everything, but because I had taken everything that made it function. By then, Stephen had sent another storm of messages. Some were angry. Some were pleading. Some tried to rewrite the wedding into a misunderstanding, as if Tara had simply floated into his seat by accident, and my name had magically become a hospital lie on its own. I did not reply. I had already said everything that mattered. 2 days later, I transferred the utilities out of my name. Internet, electricity, streaming, renter's insurance, all the boring adult scaffolding he used to mock until it disappeared. Robert called once more, not to beg me to return, but to apologize. His voice sounded older. He told me Elliot and his bride had been furious after the reception chaos. Tara had gotten drunk, flirted with the wrong people, pitched a crypto scam to a retired banker during dinner, and left with one of the bridesmaids' cousins before dessert. Stephen had spent the rest of the night trying to explain himself to relatives who no longer believed him. "I am sorry, Carol," Robert said, "for what he said about us, for what he let you believe." "You do not owe me the apology he refuses to give," I said. "Maybe not," he replied, "but I owe you mine." That one stayed with me. Not because it fixed anything, but because honesty, even late, still has a sound. I moved into a smaller apartment across town. No smart lights, no shared passwords, no boyfriend whose life needed constant patching. At first, the silence felt too wide, then slowly it became clean. I bought a kettle, a new router, one good chair, and a plant I kept near the window. I worked late without apology. I ate cereal for dinner when I wanted. I watched boring documentaries because nobody was there to roll his eyes. Stephen appeared once more in the parking garage at my office, smaller than before, standing beside my car like a man waiting outside a house he had already burned down. He said he missed me. He said the apartment felt dead. He said the bills were impossible. He said his father was barely speaking to him. "I need you," he whispered. "No," I said. "You need the rent paid. You need the car stable. You need your parents off your back. You need the life I built around you." "That is not the same thing as needing me." His face twisted. "You think you are better than me now?" "No," I said. "I think I finally stopped being useful to someone who confused usefulness with love." He grabbed for the old wound. "You are boring, Carol." This time it did not hurt. "I know," I said. "I pay bills. I show up. I keep promises. I do not sneak exes into weddings or fake medical emergencies. If that is boring, then boring is the best thing I have ever been." He had no answer to that. I got into my car. As I drove up the garage ramp toward sunlight, I checked the rearview mirror once. Stephen stood alone in the dim concrete, shrinking with every yard I put between us. The classic rock station came on. The song was loud, ridiculous, and alive. It did not sound boring. It sounded like freedom. I used to think being chosen meant becoming indispensable. Now I know better. Being indispensable to someone who refuses to respect you is not love. It is unpaid maintenance. I was not the downgrade. I was the foundation. Stephen mistook me for something disposable, because foundations are not glamorous. Nobody claps for plumbing, wiring, rent, consistency, or peace. But remove them, and the whole house learns what was holding it up. He wanted the woman who threw the parties. I became the woman who left before the cleanup.